Are you a thoughtful leader? Maybe you are. Maybe you think you are. Let's find out. I'm Mindy Gibbins-Klein. I'm author of The Thoughtful Leader and host of the Thoughtful Leader podcast. Thoughtful leadership is all about thought leadership that goes above and beyond. Thought leadership that is truly new and original, exciting, disruptive, maybe even groundbreaking. Because let's face it, we need to raise the bar. My guests and I are absolutely obsessed with finding truly original thought leadership, and I'm going to bring you so many exciting ideas and opportunities, things for you to think about, and chances for you to push your thinking that you'll be very glad you tuned in. So thanks so much for checking out Thoughtful Leadership and the Thoughtful Leader podcast. I look forward to connecting with you very, very soon. Welcome to episode 100. Wow, we've made it to 100 episodes, and now it's time to say goodbye. So I didn't always intend to finish at 100 episodes, but it feels like the right time. There's so much going on in my life, personal and business. And it feels like the right time to close this off with my last thoughts. Well, my last thoughts for a while, perhaps. But I thought it was a good opportunity to talk about what it means to say goodbye and how the thoughtful leader says goodbye, because I've really tried to be thoughtful about this. You can imagine, right? I'm so excited about the podcast. I'm so excited to share my wisdom and that of my guests with you. And yet, life sometimes has other plans. You may have figured this out for yourself. So let me just tell you what I went through, and then we'll talk about what it means to say goodbye. I like sticking with things. I've written a few blogs about this recently. Even one of my previous episodes was about quitting, but I didn't consider this quitting. But I did think would happen if I just finished and we had 100 episodes and that's all I ever did. Well, I thought about it long and hard. So I didn't just come to this decision lightly. I had many thoughts about pressing pause and saying that we're going to start up again, but I can't commit to that. Like I say, there's a lot going on. And if you know me and if you're getting to know me, you'll know some of the aspects of my life and business that has taken me on a slightly different trajectory. But the most important thing is that I remain professional and that I act and behave like a thoughtful leader. So I can't call myself one, as you know, but the things that the thoughtful leader does, they went into this decision just the same as pretty much everything I do. So I sat down and reflected. I jotted down notes. I spoke to some colleagues and really tried to keep an open mind and have an open conversation with them. I have some very wise colleagues and friends and clients. And the conclusion was we've added a lot of value. And the podcast has been a fantastic focus for 2 years of my life. It started during the pandemic, as I'm sure you know. And there wasn't, like I say, there wasn't an end date. So it really did evolve in its own way. And I'm really proud of that. And when I look back at the episodes, and if you want to look back at the whole catalog and listen to them, they're all still there. They're all still going to be there on Apple and Spotify and wherever you listen. So that was a great contribution. And I'm so grateful to all my guests, really, really grateful. It also forced me to record my episodes every sixth episode. No, anyway, more or less every fifth episode I presented. And I got to develop my own thinking, which is such a wonderful process. You know, this is what I do with clients, and it's rare that I am encouraged to come up with my own content, valuable content, hopefully, on a regular basis and keep evolving it, because, if it isn't valuable, then people stop listening or watching or reading in the case of your blog or book. So it really is a nice challenge, and I don't mind a good challenge. But then the conclusion was the way podcasts have evolved. And I did launch my first podcast back in 2016, 7 years ago. But I stopped that because I didn't have the right team around me. And now I do, or I have had. So really, you need to explore all the aspects of what you're doing. If you're considering stepping down or pressing pause or saying goodbye or quitting, or whatever you want to call it, you need to approach it thoughtfully. This is what I think. If it's the bigger the decision, the more thought you want to put in. Now, this is nothing new, right? You know this. So hopefully this is a reminder for you. I mentioned my team, and I am so, so grateful for the team. What I'll do in the comments is I'll tag them and embarrass them. But seriously, I could not have produced this podcast on my own. It takes a village. Well, it took a team. And that is partly why I started doing it, because I knew that all I had to do was my episodes and find my guests and interview them for their episodes. So that made it a lot easier. If you don't know where to start by speaking to somebody who is the expert. Of course, I'm not just talking about podcasts here, but if you are not yet producing a podcast and you want to, just ask me and I'll refer you to the team, and they will treat you with kid gloves. They will do such a good job for you. There's a lot of people out there who do podcasts, but I never had to worry about any aspect of it except getting my recordings done. So I'm really grateful, really, really, really grateful to the team. I'm going to get emotional now. And, personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with being emotional. I've learned quite recently, that I'm probably one of the 20+ % of people who are highly sensitive. I'm sensitive, and yet I've been conditioned in the professional environment not to wear my emotions on my sleeve. If you know me, you'll know that I don't lead with my emotions. I don't think I come across as overly emotional, but we all have emotions. And I think if you're sensitive to your feelings and the feelings of others, and you're sensitive to things that are happening, and you tend to react in a sensitive or emotional way, you need to acknowledge that. So that's what I needed to do. The podcast is a wonderful chapter in my business career, and it's part of my legacy. So I don't have to continue to run it forever. This is a conclusion I came to. So what are you doing that is not filling you with joy, completely filling you up with joy, or something that feels like hard work, something that feels like maybe it's done its time. Maybe it's time to retire, not you, but retire that project. And yet it's quite tricky to do. We don't like saying goodbye. If I once read a book that said train stations are really sad when people are saying goodbye. I think trains should only arrive. That's a translation from the Spanish. I remember that clearly. And I was just thinking about that. We love new starts. We love, seeing somebody after a long time. We don't necessarily like saying goodbye unless it's a divorce that we've been looking forward to, or the sale of a business, which I also went through in the past 15 months. There's a lot of goodbyes, and some of them we choose and some we don't. So the thoughtful leader can be thoughtful at any time about any decision and any project. That's a lot of any's. Let me unpick that for you. If something is changing in your life, let's keep this really vague because you know what I'm talking about. Something's changing and something is either coming to a natural end, such as a business, a job, a relationship. Maybe you feel you're not really in control. but there are aspects of it that you can control. I have had several redundancies in my career, layoffs, I guess you'd call them. And I remember one time I was with a friend having lunch, and he said, wow, you've chosen a healthy lunch. And he noticed that. I said, well, there's a lot of things happening in my life that I feel I can't control. And, what I choose from the menu is something I feel I can control. It was just a small comment from him and a small response from me, but it sticks in my mind. And it's related to mindset and the way we approach life in general and these big changes or even trauma, anything that is happening. I do believe ultimately we can choose our response. You may know that I love Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. And even in the most extreme and awful and terrible situation, you can choose how you look at it and the meaning that you give it. Tony Robbins, another one of my mentors, talks about the meaning that we give things. So I'm getting a little bit philosophical here, and this was not meant to be a lecture. It was meant to, and it is my goodbye message. And I'm saying goodbye, not see you soon or maybe. No, it's goodbye for now. And then who knows? But the podcast is finishing at episode 100. And it'll be really interesting to see what I choose to do next with podcasts and videos and speaking, because I still love doing all of that. I'm just not going to run the podcast anymore. So back to you, because we were talking about you and something that happens in your life. Now, if you don't have a big decision or a big change thrust upon you, you have the opportunity to be the architect or engineer of any change that you want to make. You may not feel that way if you feel you're, a bit of a slave or you're, not in control of things. I promise you, there's always things that we're in control of. So the key, of course, is to step outside of the situation. Everybody can find some spare moment, half an hour, a weekend, where you go offline and you just sit with a journal, a piece of paper, or even close your eyes and just think through things without this constant bombardment that we get when we go online. And really think and explore all the possibilities that you can think of. If you have a buddy, an accountability buddy, a mastermind group, you can explore with them. You can get more ideas and opinions, right? Maybe 2 or 3 heads are better than one, maybe. So I encourage you to stay thoughtful. You won't have new episodes from me, at least not on this podcast, but I hope we can stay connected. I don't love saying goodbye, but I'm not going to get too sad about it. It is time, and we can stay connected in so many other ways. So that's my ask. Don't be a stranger. Let me know if you've listened to some of the episodes, including this one. Let me know what you're up to. There are many, many different ways in which we can stay in touch, stay connected, and help each other. And that's me, not just being thoughtful, but really trying to be considerate, really considering what I can do. What more can I do to help you? I have some very exciting plans, most of which are top secret for now. So that's the other reason why I'm not crying my eyes out right now. Saying goodbye to the podcast, saying goodbye to you, at least for the moment. That is going to allow me the time and space and energy and just different perspective to make some progress on these other projects. So that is where I'm at right now. And I just wanted to share it with you personally from the heart. Obviously, I've thought this through a lot. I hope it makes sense to you. I hope I haven't gone on too long, because I could have just said, well, this is my last episode. Goodbye. That would have been a very short episode. But I just felt I deserved to share what went on behind the scenes. It wasn't an easy decision. But now it's very, very clear. And I think that's the case with most important things. It may not seem easy, but when we work through it, it does become clear. We always get the clarity. And so good luck as you continue on your own thoughtful leadership journey. If you need any help with that, you know where I am. I'm still helping thoughtful leaders to plan and write content, to plan and write content for keynote speeches, books, articles, blogs, to get clarity on their message and how they want to share that with the world and why and how they can change lives, including their own. So if that sounds compelling, let's have a chat. One of my favorite phrases. So I'm going to leave with that. I'm not going to say the G word again. I'm going to say, let's have a chat, because that's one of my favorite things to do. And I really hope you do very, very well. I hope you take this message to heart. I hope you find the joy in everything you're doing. And if you're doing some things that don't bring you joy, to find a way to release those and say, that word. Take care, and I will speak to you very soon, I'm sure. Bye for now. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of The Thoughtful Leader, and I hope it's inspired you to be more thoughtful as a leader in your business. Please consider subscribing and leaving a review. An important question for you. Do you want to create a culture of thought leadership in your organization? My best-selling book, The Thoughtful Leader, is available now on Amazon and many other sites in paperback, ebook, and audiobook formats. Please visit www.mindygk.com for more great content. That's www.mindygk.com. Speak to you again soon.